Hey, and welcome back to the Dropship Podcast. Ben and Jon coming at you today with a bit of a discussion around what you need to do, or 5 things that you must do to build a sustainable, long-term, high-ticket dropshipping business. So, it's a question a lot of people ask. If I'm going to start a business, how do I make sure? What do I got to do to make sure it's still running in 2, 3, 5 years' time? I think, dropshipping unfortunately does get associated a lot with turn and burn businesses, but that's not what we do. I can't really imagine why you would want to build something that might die in 3 to 6 months. When we build businesses, it always is, I think, the plan that we're going to grow big businesses, right? And we're going to hold on to those for a period of years. And I think there are some things that you must do to ensure that happens. And there are also some, on the flip side of those, some mistakes that people commonly make that causes their business to kind of, I won't say die, but kind of implode a little bit, down the track. And so, we're gonna talk through a few of those. And I think, jumping straight into the first one of those, I think one thing that you must do to ensure you've got a sustainable business in the long term is to have more than one source of traffic for your website, and certainly not rely just on paid traffic. And so the reason for that is like, I think I try any business I have to never let my business rely on one thing. Like it's like for me, I think there's like a rule of ones. I can't remember what it is, but like you don't want to create in your business single points of failure, right? So if you just rely on one source of traffic, and because in high ticket dropshipping we start with Google ads, that's always the first source of traffic we use. The mistake a lot of people make is they start making some sales there and they think that's enough, and they just focus on that for too long to the exclusion of everything else because it's working, and then one day it stops working quite as well. Maybe because the ad costs go up, maybe because competition increases, maybe they just get suspended from Google for some reason and that's entirely out of their control, but they have nothing that's supporting their business behind that. And so overnight, sales start to drop. And it can be hard to turn that around straight away. So if you rely on one thing and that fails, then your business is not sustainable. So I think we've said it many times on this podcast, and Ben's raring to get in here, but the number one traffic source for a high ticket dropshipping business is SEO, search engine optimization. And yes, Google paid traffic is great, but you have to have both, I think, to be able to do this business in the long run.
Yeah, you got to be able to serve the customer, and that comes in writing articles that are optimized for SEO, including building out your collections. To your point, number 2 is also don't rely on one supplier or one product. I see too often in people that we have as students or people that we know that are in the high ticket dropshipping space, they see a product that's winning and then they just double down on that product, or they double down on that brand, and all of the other brands kind of fall to the wayside. And then all of a sudden you have this business that is very top heavy with one brand. Your numbers might look good, but if that brand decides, you know what, we're going to move to direct to consumer only and not have any retailers, you don't have a choice in the matter, and it's over at that point, right? And so you have to diversify, whether that's diversifying the traffic channels that you are acquiring with which you're acquiring customers, or diversifying the suppliers and the products that you carry. You have to diversify as much as possible. Now, don't put all of your effort there. Like, you do have to focus in order to drive revenue in your business, but you just be careful not to rely on one product. And in a high ticket dropshipping business, it's very easy to see most of your sales coming from a few products. And it's very tempting, especially if those few products are from one supplier, to lean in hard because, some people are short-term thinking, they're thinking about money. But I encourage you to have a longer-term view here. Like, the wealthiest people are correlated with their mindset of the longer view that they have, the wealthier that they are. And I encourage you to take a longer view in your business too. Diversify, take a long view, realize where you're going to be in 3 years, not just in 3 months. Yeah.
Look, and it's a good feeling. I think when you like, it is a good feeling to have those products that really take off and they're starting to do higher and higher numbers. And you do want to encourage that, but it's not an either or thing. You can encourage that to continue to grow while making sure you're developing other things to also be selling alongside that. And I've got personal experience here. One of the businesses I've been involved with, we had a brand that I think we got up to selling about between $500,000 and $700,000 a month in sales of this one brand, and they ran into manufacturing issues to the point where they couldn't ship products anymore. Like basically, and it helped within the space of about a month. That brand went from that level down to $10,000 a month in sales or something like that, like overnight. Now there were some other products that were selling on that from other suppliers, but that made we had to really scramble to bring in some other brands that had a similar type of product to fill that gap. And luckily we did find some that we could build up to back up to around that level. But there was a big dip in that business's revenue for a period of months because, we hadn't probably recognized the risk that we had with, having a lot of eggs in that basket.
Yeah. Number 3, you got to get someone to come back more than once. The idea that you're going to run an ad on Sunray, Baldwin, Infrared Sauna, and Cedar, and every single one of those people is going to buy is ludicrous, right? Like you are going to get some sales on first time visitors, but the reality is your metrics on someone who has come back more than one time, who has more than one touch point with your business, is going to be exponentially bigger. The lowest I've seen is twice as good, and the best I've seen so far is like 20 times as good. And you're going to be somewhere in between there, that people who come back are that much more likely to shop with you. And so you have to build an email list and get people to come back through content. You have to run remarketing. You have to do good SEO. You have to layer audiences inside of your ads so that you're bidding more on people who have been to your website in the past. You have to get someone to come back. Hopefully they come back and visit your business and make a purchase. And I feel like an old episode, John, it's been a long time, but I feel like in a very old episode, I actually gave away that report and showed you how to set up the report in Google Analytics, where you can actually see this for yourself in your business. And I tend to do that with most of the people I work with one-on-one. It's eye-opening to see how much more valuable someone who's coming back is to you than someone who's only been there one time. Hey, obviously, you're interested in high-ticket dropshipping, wondering what you're going to sell. That's usually what people think about long before they ever purchase a course or even get started. John and I want to help you with that. We're running a 5-day challenge. Check it out at dropshipbreakthru.com/5. 5 days, you'll figure out exactly what you're going to sell, and you'll be ready to start your high-ticket dropshipping journey when you're done.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not just with that first purchase either. All right. I mean, the number of touch points somebody's going to have with your business before they buy the first time is probably a lot more than you think. And so you need to do what you can to encourage more of those touch points. And there's, as Ben's mentioned, a number of ways you can do that. But it's also being able to get that person to buy from you again, right, in the future. Like if the more you can encourage people to come back and buy something from you again, whether it's the same product or a different product or a complementary product or an accessory or whatever it is, that increases. There's more profit in those sales because it's easier to sell to that person. You don't have to pay to acquire them again through like your paid traffic or whatever. You might be email marketing them or something like that. The more you can encourage that to happen, the more profitable your business is. And if your business is more profitable, it's pretty much by definition more sustainable, right? Because you've got more. You've got more money available to carry the business through and support it. So I think that's definitely an extra element to that, getting people back to your website thing.
Well, those are 3 very important things. And I think number 4 is just as important. Like you have to make yourself a household name in your industry. It is important that people are looking for you when they are looking for the products that you sell. You want to make sure that people in your industry know who you are, right? And that might mean being a heavy part of forums or part of Facebook groups that are in your industry. That might mean building relationships with more than just suppliers, building relationships with the influencers and the magazines and the blogs and things that are in your industry so that they link back to you. They talk about you. So when anybody goes anywhere, they think, oh, I'm going to go to Ben's website if I want to buy this product. You have to make yourself a household name. And you'll start seeing that we tell you to run a trademark ad on your own brand name. You should start seeing that increase in volume over time of people starting to understand that they're looking just for you. That'll give you some feedback there, but there are a lot of steps in the process of you just becoming a name in the industry so that people are associating you with said products.
Yeah. I think that the minute somebody thinks of your name when they think of your product, like your brand name, like somebody who's in your, like if you're running a fairly niche store, and when Ben says household names, just the people who are interested in that particular niche, right? But the minute somebody in your market thinks of your name when they think of your product, you've pretty much won, I think, right? I mean, you've pretty much won at that point. It'll take some consistent and sustained effort to get to that point, like the things that Ben's mentioned. You're going to have to keep doing those, keep reaching out, making connections over a period of time, but you can definitely get to that place. I think I've seen quite a few people who have been running a business for a little while who have become kind of like the name in their market when people want to buy stuff. And that you get to that point, it's very exciting. Look, number 5 that I'll throw in here. I think that once again, I think a lot of people miss in the beginning, and it does hurt them the further they get in. And it kind of ties back into things like relying on your ads and then your ads not working, is kind of making sure that you have carved yourself a unique part of your market. Like you've positioned your business as different to other businesses in your market, right? So if customers can't tell any difference between you and your competition, and some of the things we've talked about already in this episode are going to drive that, but you also just need to understand, just going through some simple exercises around what's the competition in your market, who are the other players, who are you competing against, what do they do, what don't they do, what do they say about their business, and how can you position yourself to be different? If you can't demonstrate any difference between your business and somebody else's business, then there is no reason for somebody else to buy from a customer to buy from you, right? And so your ability to sustain sales in the long term is diminished if you can't do that.
I'll throw one more on the end. Hire. I waited too long to hire good people. In the beginning, you got to grind, you got to hustle, you got to do what you got to do, and you're wearing every hat in the world, but start building systems and processes. And by that, I mean, here's exactly how I do one of the tasks in my business. Write it out so well that your 7-year-old kid could follow those instructions, and then hand it off, and slowly start doing that and hire good people, and like remove yourself from the business. The longer you are in the business, the less time you're able to work on the business. And when you can step out and start moving chess pieces rather than being in there and moving pieces of code and images on your website, you're going to be in such a better place. And your leverage is just magnified. I resisted it for a long time. I was not taking this advice for a very long time. And then I hired and I was like, oh, this is going to be addicting. I can see how beneficial this could be if you can make a good hire.
Yeah. And there's a pretty scary picture to paint here, right? So if you start one of these, and I say that because I've seen it. We've had people come into our program who are at this stage. You build this business, you build it up, you get to $2-3 million a year in revenue. If you're still the only person in your business at that point, you are going to be answering the phone about 40 hours a week in a lot of cases, right? In a lot of markets.
Chats.
It's going to be a job that you probably don't enjoy. So how do you think that is going to impact your business at that point? You might suffer a breakdown. You might go a bit mental, or you might just withdraw from it because you just hate it now. So you don't want to get to that point where you push yourself too hard and you actually become the roadblock to your own business's success. And that leads to an unsustainable business if you let yourself get into that situation. And sometimes it creeps up on you and you get there kind of without realizing it. You wake up one day and you're like, whoa, I'm doing a lot here and I'm not sure that that's what I set out to do, really. Most people start these businesses to get away from full-time employment, right? Feeling like they're shackled, their time is tied down to this thing. And so it's important, once again, you don't do it in the beginning, but you want to plan that as you reach certain points, you're going to start offloading certain tasks and getting things off your plate so that you can stay in love with your business and stay focused on the big levers that only the business owner can pull. And that will, keep your business in a sustainable track.